The University of Maine confirms it's planning to sell the Hutchinson Center in Belfast to a local church. Grace Bradley has more.
Wednesday night, Greg Houston, the lead pastor at Calvary Chapel, Belfast, posted on Facebook saying UMaine had accepted their offer to buy the center. According to UMaine, the church was one of 3 organizations that submitted proposals to purchase the property. The university says the other 2 organizations, Waldo County Community Action Partners and Friends of the Hutchinson Center / Waterfall Arts, were notified of the decision Wednesday. UMaine says Calvary Chapel Belfast had the most qualified offer, though the proposed purchase price was not disclosed. Bank of America gifted the Hutchinson Center to the university in 2007, and the decision to sell was met with pushback by some members of the Waldo County community. The facility would become the new location for Calvary Chapel Belfast Church and School, as well as offer addiction resources. Per university policy, the other organizations that submitted an offer have 5 days to appeal the decision in writing. One member of the Future of the Hutchinson Center committee says they plan to do so. Following the appeals process, the University of Maine system would then negotiate a final agreement with Calvary Chapel Belfast. Grace Bradley, WABI, TV5 News.